And so where can you learn more about R? So as part of the plant breeding and genomics community of practice, we're actively developing content that's designed for plant breeders to help learn R and make use of R statistical software. And that's coming as we speak. This is sort of the rollout of our R content. And so I encourage you to revisit or to visit eextension.org/plant_breeding_genomics throughout the fall to look for updates. And where else can you learn more about R? So I mentioned already this R Basics tutorial for learning the basic commands in R. Also, there are resources specifically designed for biologists, introductory statistics. This past summer, I attended the Summer Institute for Statistical Genetics at the University of Washington, so I would direct you there. Or there's also an annual Use R conference, and that switches back and forth between being in Europe and being in North America each year. You can look at some general texts, and these are just the resources that I mentioned throughout the presentation. Importing data, graphics, the LME4 package, programming in R. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge other members of the Plant Breeding and Genetics group at Ohio State University, Dr. David Francis, the PI, Dr. Sungchur Sim, and Dr. Deborah Liaboeuf, who was a visiting scholar from France. I also like to acknowledge Dr. Walter de Young from Cornell University, John McQueen for technical support, and our evaluator, Michael Coe. Supplementary files are available online, and you will be receiving a survey evaluation via email. Please fill out that survey to help us provide content that you desire and that you would like to see. So now I'd like to turn things over to John McQueen so that we can have a brief question and answer session.
Thanks, Heather, and thanks for that great introduction to R. You did a really great job, and I want to encourage you to, if you have questions, we have about 10 minutes to answer questions. So go back to that question box on your screen. If you can't see it, there's a little plus sign next to it. You can open that up, type your question in, and submit it that way, and it'll come in, and then I can read those out to Heather. So I'll take a few minutes here, go ahead and start typing questions in. If you're just happening to join us, we did have a little mix-up on time. We did start at 1 p.m. Eastern, but we did record. We are recording the entire session, and we'll have it posted in a couple of days to the eExtension website. So please check for that. So we got a few questions coming in. First, we have a thank you. So that was that's very nice.
Thank you very much.
We have a question: is 2.2 to a negative 13 the minimum p-value possible in R?
That's a good question. I'm not sure of the answer of that, actually. I know that R can give you very small p-values. I don't know what the limit is.
Okay, thanks. We have another question here. They would like to have the commands for SNP and trait association. Interested in obtaining some commands for that.
Okay. You know, at this point in time, we have worked with just single marker and trait analysis. In future, we would like to provide documentation or provide commands for more complex analysis. I assume you're looking more of a, say, genome-wide association analysis. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You know, that's certainly something we can look into for a future webinar. So thank you very much for that suggestion.
Great. And Sungchur said that some of the SNP trait analysis is available through Tassel, I guess currently.
Great. Thank you very much, Sungchur.
And going back to the question about the minimum p-value, they just said that they see that number all the time, so it must just be some general knowledge floating around. So another question here, with a PC, can Notepad be used instead of the TinR as the text editor?
Yes, it can be used. One of the reasons it's not recommended is that um, the spacing is not correct if you are, say, copying and pasting a script from somewhere. I do have a little bit of experience using Notepad++, and I found that to be a better solution than just Notepad.
Yeah, and I've used Notepad++ myself in my own work, and it's a free download, and it's good. So is there another question coming in? Is any R code for genome selection?
My guess would be that it's probably out there. Yeah, I see Songchur says here to check Tassel, and I would recommend that as well.
Do you see the questions now, Heather? Do you see Umesh's comment there about the p-value?
Not, I can't see it very well.
You can pop that little box out and make it bigger.
I see that. Thank you very much, Umesh. So R can provide a p-value up to 10 to the 238th.
So we have another question. Can you provide more explanation to first-time users? So I'm not. If you could type back in a comment with Michael with a little bit more which explanation you're looking for.
And I would also encourage you. One of the things that I'm trying to do is with the online content that we'll be providing on eExtension later this fall is really to cover a very wide range and to really lay out a lot of those basics and at a pace where if you've never opened up R and you really want to follow along, that we will be making that available to you as well. But if you have a specific question, I'm happy to address that now as well.
And people can go to eExtension at www.extension.org/ask, and there's a way to input a question that way. Just make sure to tag your question as plant breeding and genomics, and that'll get to Heather and her group.
And as an alternative, you can at any time you're welcome to also contact me directly. And my email address, if I can get back to one of the first slides here, I can put that back up for you.
And Heather, do you think it'll be possible to post some of those resources on the webinar page? Because I know I went through some kind of quickly a little bit with all those resources.
Yes, and in addition, what I'll do is actually there's a PDF of this presentation currently available, but I will also enter in all of the resources and provide direct links as well for everyone.
Oh, great.
And that all of the, in terms of the websites, all of those are freely available for anyone to access as well.
Perfect. If there's any more questions, sneak them in here at the last couple minutes. I don't see any more coming in. I think you answered them all, Heather. So we're getting some virtual applause here from some folks typing things. One other quick question. Will you have classes in the future exclusively on data analysis for breeders?
I think it's certainly a possibility that we are really trying to target a breeding audience. And so we're looking at this point really to build up our relevant data analysis content on eExtension. And if you look at the future webinars, we have one specifically planned later this fall for analysis using an augmented design, and would appreciate suggestions or input for future webinars or content beyond the fall.
Yeah, and I think there's on the follow-up email that you'll get for the evaluation, there's a place where you can enter ideas, right, Heather, for future events and content and stuff?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Great, another nice compliment coming in. This is good.
So it looks like we're just about out of time, but I would really like to thank all of you for participating in our inaugural webinar of the series, and very much appreciate the support by your online applause and questions, and thank you very much for helping make this a successful project.